Good. 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 Enough. As good enough.
Whoa, ho, 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 Sammy! Good enough, brother. Man, I gotta get me some merch.
I'm gonna hook you up with it. I'm gonna get you one of these.
Yeah, I want to get some merch. This is something hopefully viewers and listeners we can offer maybe down the road if we get big enough. Guys can all have your own good enough coffee book, notebook. Look at that. Golly. Hey,
Post-it notes.
Oh man, tell the girls my birthday is May 6th. Christmas is coming up. What other special? They never got me anything for Father's Day. That's kind of understandable. But yeah. So
what else is coming up?
My birthday either. So maybe go ahead, belated birthday gift. Some good enough.
Maybe something for Labor Day.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Laborless Day. All right. Well, I'm excited about our guest.
First of all,
those of you who don't know, we also this is Good Enough, and I'm your host Mark Glips, and with my co-host Sam, who he and I all went to high school together and known each other for probably almost 10 years now.
And, well, we really don't know each other. We
know each
other for a long time.
Too well, you know. That's
how does one really know another in this world?
Well, I think when you've been in the trenches, when you've, you know, I think it's when you've been knee crawling, snot flying, drunk together. Then that pretty much.
I don't remember that. I have to take your word for it again.
I don't remember those, so it must have happened.
I don't remember those, but I hope maybe you're right. I don't know.
Almac, you know.
That place barely exists anymore. You know that?
Does it? It doesn't.
This really doesn't. I mean, it's the railroad across the street is what fueled it. You know, the rail car shops.
Right.
I don't know. It's been set forever since I've been there, but no one talks about it anymore. No one says there's anything. You know.
Yeah.
They moved Bigger Jigger to a different location and.
Right. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. You know, well, the big thing here right now, Mark, is it's smoky.
Yeah. Oh no, we've been reading out here finally that
it feels like California here today.
That New York, Chicago, and St. Louis have the worst air quality of any place in the United States.
Oh yeah, it's terrible here today. You can't believe it. I've never seen anything like it in my entire life in Illinois. Now something like it in California, but not here.
Yeah, it occasionally will happen in California if you're in the fire zone. So, wow. I mean, that's interesting.
They've been canceling all outdoor activities, sports events. And stuff.
You don't want to go out and ride your bike 100 miles in that stuff.
I went out and walked today, but I could they canceled the ride last night. So I don't know. I headed to Indianapolis tonight, though, because Augustine's racing at the big track.
At the Brickyard, I know.
At the Brickyard, yeah.
How cool is that? That is cool. That's like me when I played on the King's ice, you know, hockey.
He's gonna make a lap around the track tonight in that little car.
2.5 miles, right?
2.5 miles in that little car.
Are you gonna put
First time he did it, I said, how what was it like? He goes, the whole car vibrated the entire time. They're not really made, they're made to turn left in a very short. He's driving all the way around the track, going straight, trying to keep it straight.
Well, he's got the pedal to the metal, right?
So he's got it.
So it's fine. It's shaking because I've never been this long at all the way full throttle. Jeez.
On asphalt.
On asphalt. So
his dad told him, he says, don't give it full throttle. It's the only engine we got. We blow that up, we won't be able to race.
Yeah. Well, what about a GoPro? Did you put a GoPro are you gonna put a GoPro on the end of it?
I think they did last year. I think he got a video of it last. I don't remember. I wasn't at the one last year. I was at the one 2 years ago. But
okay, yeah. All right. Well, listen. Let's get going. I want to talk to Susan. She's
we can't get going till she's on there.
She's on.
She's not on there yet. We
Oh, okay. Well, she will be.
4 o'clock
But,
straight up.
Right. So anyway, listeners, viewers, just to let you know, this podcast is brought to you by the Ripe Choice Farm Stay and Catering. We're an all organic event commercial space and commercial kitchen on a 6-acre farm with vineyard and orchard and row crops and 2 mini pigs, a tortoise, 2 dogs, 8 chickens. Sam?
Do you have snakes?
We have snakes. I haven't seen any recently. We like snakes.
Yeah, snakes are
We
good.
don't like rattlesnakes, but we like all other snakes.
Yeah. Did you and those were wonderful pictures I saw on of the farm, aerial pictures. Man, that was
So here's what I did. I ordered a cheap drone. Okay.
really
Practice with it. I did his. I played around with his. We had a guest, listeners. We had a guest stay at our property, and he had a drone with him. Skydio is what they call it. SKYDIO, like studio. Only it's Skydio. It's
oh yeah, sure.
4K, really super quality video. It's like a $2,500 piece of equipment, and so I flew it around a little bit, but he flew it around, and then he sent me some video of what he shot on our farm, and it's just how much fun is that? It's just fun. I mean, amazing.
It looked good. It really looked good.
The perspective you have when you're at 300 feet up is,
Yeah.
It's really cool. And we're putting in a circular garden in our row crop area, and so you can really see that and kind of.
Yeah, what's the idea behind a circular garden?
I don't know. I think it's a feng shui thing. It came biggest little farm. If you've seen that documentary, watch it. Biggest Little Farm.
I saw. Is it in episodes? Because I feel like I saw.
No, it's one movie. It's one documentary, but it was. It's a farm that a guy and his wife, and he had a lot of funding, I think, because he really put a lot of money into it. But it's a fascinating documentary on all the trials and tribulations. They moved out of their apartment in Santa Monica and bought this property. But one of the things, a consultant they brought in to handle the farm, the ag part of it, he's the one who recommended this circular setup with his row crops. And so I think that's where Yoshi is a Japanese friend of mine who is doing this. And, so I think it's kind of a feng shui Zen-like thing, maybe. I don't know. So I'm curious how we're going to irrigate it, but because my irrigation is, in rows. So we'll see how we can bend it so that we can get the irrigation in there. But where there's a will, there's a way. So anyway, that's going to be fun. We're going to be recognized by the Blue Zones project group as a Blue Zones business.
Now, are these guys that paint their faces ball blue and
no,
is that a different group?
No, Grasshopper.
Is that a different group?
That's a different group, and that's a show group in Vegas. Okay. Have you seen them? The Blue Man Group.
No, I've seen Blue Men before, but they were dead.
Yeah, those are the visions you get, isn't it? Yes. But no, I've seen the Blue Man Group a couple of times, but no, the Blue Zones is Dan. What's his last name? Come on, listeners, someone text Dan. Anyway, we're
not live, Mark.
Yeah, well, we will be, aren't we?
They text you.
That's true. But Dan found out there were certain areas around the country, around the world, where people live to be 100 years old. And he went to a lot of South Pacific and all that. He went to these areas, and he investigated these areas on what it is that they had in common that made them live that allowed them to live as long as they did. And he found 9 different things. 9 different things.
I hope one of them was bourbon.
Bourbon was one. as long as you're with a friend.
There you go.
Well, no, they said socialization,
Yeah.
happy family life, walking
believe
every day, portion control. You don't have to necessarily be vegetarian, but portion control and probably a little heavier on plant-based and eating healthy, but and just overall happiness too, just a good positive mental attitude. And anyway, they've got a Blue Zones cookbook, so you can look that up. And they go into counties.
Are you going to get a product placement fee here? I think you're.
No, Blue Zones is not, but they're in about 30 communities around the country. They've come to Lake County, and they give themselves like 3 or 4 years to make an impact in a county. And one of the things, we were Blue Zones registered in Manhattan Beach, but we're going to be recognized as a Blue Zones
Cool.
business here in Lake County, and they're all coming out big to do.
Well, maybe we should do a podcast on
here. What?
Maybe we should do a podcast on that. Have somebody on that.
Yeah. No, we can.
How to get to our guests.
You know what? That's a great idea, and I absolutely know who. That's yes. You know what? Our next guest should be. Unless you've got someone, we should.
Well, I was going to add. I don't know if Kate can do it or not. She's in Ontario, Canada, for the summer, so I don't know what her schedule's like because she's our curator for TED Talk.
Yeah,
she would be. She's written a book about the Golden Girls.
No, who hasn't written a book?
It's the only one, she says.
Oh,
Golden Girls.
I haven't written one yet.
Hey, our guest is going to be there in a second, so
okay.
Sign off here. We're also brought to you by Pride Staff.
That's
service staffing firm in Bloomington, Illinois, direct hire, office admin, light industrial, and punk racing, and also by the Lake County newsletter. The editor is sitting across from me now.
That's right. I forgot the Happy Friday Neighbors newsletter.
Happy Friday Neighbors. So
live.
It always has good stuff in it. I read it every week. So let's switch over and meet our guest.
Right.
Looking forward to this.
Let's bring on Susan.
Al? Hey, we have Susan in the waiting room. What should we do?
Bring her on.
All right, here we go. Here we go.
Susan.
Now that is a great picture to start the.
Oh my gosh, she just takes great pictures all the time. You got to see all of her pictures. Susan, are you on? There you are. There you are.
I tell you, you got my attention already, Susan.
You beautiful, wonderful, resilient lady. I've been listening to you and watching you on Facebook. You are amazing.
Oh my goodness. Look, I'm blushing, literally. What?
Oh my gosh, you're amazing. I just wish I could carry you in my pocket and when people are feeling a little down, I just bring Susan out and go, here, let Susan talk to you.
Well, plus then I would be in Northern California. That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Susan, he's never said that about me, and I've known the guy since high school.
Yeah, I know.
He said that about me. He's had to carry me to the
I'd
car.
rather have Susan coming to Northern California than you. That's for sure. Okay.
One of these days.
Susan, I have a story to tell you right off the bat.
Yeah.
Last week, I'm laying in the dentist chair, get my teeth cleaned, and my normal dentist wasn't there. And they said, "You want to see this new person?" I said, "I don't care, just as long as I get out of here without spending too much money." And so this lady came in, and I am going to butcher her name, but she had a very Italian name. And I asked her where she's from. She said, "Well, I'm from this little town." And I vaguely remembered, I said, "Isn't that near Springfield?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Is there a winery near that town?" She goes, "Yeah." I said, "I'm having this Susan Danenberger person." "Oh, I know her." "You know her?" She goes, "I went to high school with her son."
Well, her son, we should have her son on sometime. He's amazing too.
So I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Here I am. I didn't even know you." Mark, my friend in California, introduces me, this way. And I'm laying in the dentist chair, and the lady that's working on my teeth knows you.
You got it. Oh my gosh. What?
But it's not signed. Excellent.
I know, you're right. I need to remedy that.
Copy. But
So how do you two know each other?
Well, okay, let me explain first. First of all, listeners, viewers, Susan Danenberger, by the way, is the most incredible lady. And I don't want to bring this down, but she is a fifth generation farm girl, winemaker, has an event space that we would all die to have, a place like that. I mean, Sam, you got to go. You got.
Well, I know people have been there and they rave about it.
Live music, and her son makes craft cocktails and all this stuff. It's just, I mean, God, wait. Anyway, so that's Susan Danenberger, and she is just what she's been through and her resilience and what she goes through, and yet still manages this huge property and undertaking and family and all of that. She's just a terrific attitude. We should all somehow have a little piece of Susan with us everywhere we go. But the way I know her is she knows my brother Rick. Sam, you know Rick.
Of course, yeah.
Well, Rick was, I guess, I haven't talked to him in 5 years, but he never returns calls. He doesn't, he's just a deadbeat. That's why I wouldn't want to be married to the guy. Just,
Well, now I'm starting to make a connection. Was that's the winery that Rick was at with the governor the night before he came to my house?
That could have been.
Yeah, he was hung over like nobody. He was late coming to our house. His brother flies all the way across the United States. And Rick's got to drive an hour, and he's late getting there by about 2 hours. But he did look a little ragged-headed. But he said he was at a winery with what was the governor then?
Rauner.
Rauner, yeah.
Yeah. What's he doing now? That governor, is he in jail too?
No, he's doing all kinds of really great foundations. He was just here 2 weeks ago and had a big party because they put his picture up in the Capitol. So Rick was here for that, and
nice.
The governor. It was a nice party.
Yeah,
had it here at the winery.
He said, "Yeah, I party with the governor." I'm going, wow. I'm not partying with California's governor.
So every time a holiday would come up, Rick would have me send wine to your address when you were in Manhattan Beach.
Yep, that's right.
And he said you guys were like shocked that you liked it.
Well, I mean, anytime.
I mean, I understand.
Anytime you get wine outside
from Illinois,
our wine country in Illinois. Well, my wife and I met in Missouri 36 years ago, I think, something like that. And they have wineries in Missouri and all of that. And I don't want to make fun of it. I mean, what are the vintages? March, April? What do you?
When do we harvest?
Yeah, I mean,
He said vintage. It was a joke. Susan, it was a joke. I have to explain when he tells a joke because you won't.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
they're not funny, so I have to. You got to laugh now.
You have to get me.
March or April. Lots of sugar. No, I don't do that.
Right. But no, you don't think, because you think with the winter and all of that, but then again, we have winters here. It's just that there's not really snow on the ground. And so your grapes.
You're telling me that? Last time I was there's plenty of snow on the ground.
Yeah. Well,
when I left that night, they got a
freak snowstorm.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You did.
People who've lived here all their lives have never seen that. I mean, it was freaky. But then again, it is understandable because our vines are dormant during that winter time, and they're just like yours will be there. And then harvest or the season comes, and you start your cover crops and your all of that, and then pruning.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The biggest problem here.
So have you two physically met?
No.
No. Just talked online, and we go to the same chat rooms, and we date the same people. So it's like just the way it is.
Oh boy.
So anyway, listen,
our podcast just took a step to the left.
Susan, we are a cheap couple of guys. Okay. So we have the inexpensive version of Zoom. So we only have a limited amount of time to talk to you. So I want to get as much from you as possible for this, because first of all, let's talk about where people can read about your story. This is a book, Embracing the Impact of Cancer. And she is, and by the way, don't you think it's a little, did you agree to be in chapter 13?
No, but I think it's perfect.
Okay, good.
I love that.
That attitude about 13. That's great. That's great.
I thought it was, it was like perfect, because like my whole cancer story has literally been like a really bad Telemundo soap opera. So it's like perfect. It's like 13, of course.
Yeah. So anyway, she's chapter 13 in this book. Fantastic story. Should be made into a movie. Should be on Lifetime.
Yeah, a soap opera.
Right. But a Lifetime movie, because Hallmark, 2 times cancer survivor.
Wow.
Okay. Then we'll get into a little bit of just a quick snapshot, because we got lots of questions for you, but snapshot, a history. But why don't you do that? Give us just a quick snapshot of your history and of how this happened. I mean, first of all, you're born in this central Illinois town, grew up on a farm, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I grew up here on this same road, Irish Road, and there's I'm a Sullivan, 2 Sullivan families, 2 brothers from Ireland. In the 1880s, they come here, and each generation, 2 brothers stay in the houses and do all the farming. And so 29 years ago, the house where my uncle's family came up for sale, and my dad wanted to make sure it stayed in the family. I was 28, and I was, wanting to be somewhere else, anywhere but here.
Wait, 29 plus 28.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm 56, so.
All right. You're a youngster.
Yeah, feel it. I am a youngster, actually.
You look
so he strong-armed me into buying it because I was the oldest daughter. None of us really wanted to be in farming at the time, but now I just feel like I look back and it's this path that was perfect, because over time I slowly started appreciating how much being a steward of the farmland was. And my dad was always, it was almost like this 5th child in the family, the farmland, everything, vacations went around farming, everything went around farming. Yeah. And, we were green before people talked about being green. We saved all of our rainwater and, all the stuff that people do now, we recycled, but it wasn't because, we were trying to be hippies. We were just trying to live on the land, I guess.
I think that's true of farmers in general. I think farmers, going way back, some of the things they did back in the 60s and 70s, they're now coming back and saying, well, you know what? We should probably, control burns, just like they did back in the 60s. Maybe we should consider that to keep these firefighters abated,
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things. Yeah.
I'm just, now I can see that I am the best choice of the 4 of us kids to be here, because I like to be outside. I like to work outside. I like to get dirty. And then, bought this place, had 2 boys, and moved to Chicago for a while and lived up there and kept the house, but then come back kicking and screaming. I'm like, oh, I love the food. I love the city. But then for some reason, the second time coming back, it just felt right. And my boys went from, a giant high school in Naperville to being on everything in high school. They got to be on the football team and in Scholastic Bowl and in, drama club and music and flourished. And then I'm like, why didn't I appreciate this before? And, I started getting into grapes because I wanted to farm, but my dad was like, well, you can't afford a combine. And I didn't get to learn how to farm. So grapes were like my mini introduction. And then I became addicted. So I started making wine just as an amateur, and decided from my chemistry background that I had before that I could tweak it. And came out to California to Davis and studied, and it sounded really easy. I look back and thank God I didn't know how much work it was going to be. You know, we opened 10 years ago, and I just wanted to be a small tasting room where you have an appointment and, you know, you have to come here. But people in Illinois don't understand that concept. And it was hard enough that I was making, you know, mostly dry red wines. And nobody knew what Cabernet Franc was. You know, what's that? Is that Cabernet Sauvignon? No, it's
That Frank's Cabernet? Oh.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was already, you know, behind the 8 ball for a second there, but had to pivot and bring in music, which again, I thought this is never going to work because I don't want to be a bar. But you know, when your wine is $35 a bottle, you're not going to be a bar. Eventually, it turned into this thing where now it's Wine Rocks, and it's an enormous music venue, and it's known by a lot of promoters, and it's on the way between St. Louis and Chicago, and we get some big national acts, and it's a good time. And you know, wine is all about memories, and so is music. So to me, it's been perfect. It's been this perfect marriage that I would never have guessed. And then bringing my son on, who has an incredible palate as well, to start wanting to have the bourbon bar on another part and really make it a whole family thing. It's I look back and I just can't believe I didn't recognize this journey from the beginning.
Yeah, I think that's true. A lot of us don't appreciate things. We're so focused on, I don't know, maybe climbing a ladder or kids and everything else that you kind of, you know, you don't smell the roses or you don't appreciate. And it takes a little age, a little wisdom, a little maturity before all of a sudden you realize, holy cow, that was really pretty special. So, you know, it's interesting. I love the fact that family's involved, but you have discovered what many wineries and others have discovered is that you do have to have multiple revenue streams.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, most of our wineries out here are, you know, they have Airbnbs, glamping, music, special events, things like that. It's not just the wine tasting. Used to be, but now they've really, even the farms now have, you know, all kinds of things going on. So
kind of like you.
Yeah. And by the way, if you need staffing, Sam there, he can help you with staffing. So.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I own a staffing agency here in Bloomington.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You must know Jeremy and Lisa Wombles?
Yes, I do. I love Jeremy. He's wonderful.
Yeah,
he's
Hopewell
very
Riley.
Active in Illinois wine. I'm on the Illinois wine board, and he's really good.
Yeah, he went to college with my daughters.
Oh, wow.
That's how I got to know him. So back in the day when they were younger, I spent a lot of time with Jeremy. He's a
crazy
individual.
We're all different parts of the country, and we're all intertwined. I love this.
That's crazy. It's crazy. I was laying in the dentist chair going, I'm talking to a woman who went to school with this person I'm going to talk to next.
Well, okay.
And I was introduced by my friend who lives in California.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Danenberger, you're probably very well known in that area, but also I got to tell you, Sam, this lady has strutted the runways of New York City. You want to explain that?
Yeah, I did. I got to walk in New York Fashion Week in 2019.
No
that was
kidding.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it was in a bra and underwear.
Oh my gosh. I'm
telling you, my wife, once she hears that, she about fashion and that Fashion Week thing, you know.
It is cool. Yeah, and I've gone twice now, and we were supposed to do it again last year, but the designer had to reschedule. I'm actually she's doing a photo shoot in a few weeks that I'm going to Chicago to be photographed in the Susan bra, named after me. So,
right. So explain to Sam, because Sam, did you not read the chapter? So anyway.
No, I haven't got the book.
Oh.
The book.
Go support Susan and buy the book.
Absolutely. I'm going to put a link to her book in our podcast.
And then you
to her website for the winery.
Yeah, because my plastic surgeon for my breast cancer reconstruction had made friends networking with this bra designer who had fashion shows every year. And the year I was in it, she was looking for models who had stage 4 metastatic breast cancer and had some type of either reconstruction or revision or, flat, whatever, to show off her products. And so I got to go, and it was life-changing, not just to feel like, it made you feel empowered and beautiful and confident, but also being able to meet other women who also still have cancer like I do, because it's a totally different living, metastatic breast cancer. It's a slow killer. I mean, it's a killer. It's a terminal disease. But in the meantime, until you die, you're stuck dealing with treatments and things every month, every week, every whatever it is. And it's really hard to understand. People think of cancer as just this thing where the person's bedridden and they lose a bunch of weight and they can't eat and they're throwing up and then they're dead. And, when you have something like metastatic cancer where it's slowly growing throughout your body, it's really hard to have friends that understand it. So to meet a whole community of women that all walked in the show and understood this was so helpful for me, because it was able for me to make more connections, talk to other women and see what they do and help me, and I help them, and it's still going on. It's been wonderful.
Well,
So how is it still going on? What network have you created? Or
we have several group chats that we're on, and then of course social media, and some of us have stayed in contact to the point of traveling to see each other. They do all kinds of stuff out east with, meetings and parties and, constant different little events going on that just keep spreading the word or helping each other with things. And that's helped.
Explain to our audience what the fact that this isn't like other cancers where there's a beginning, middle, and end. This is something that in your book, you say this is, there's one thing to live life as you're going through cancer, but to live life with cancer there all the time. I see those posts, and it just is sometimes heartbreaking because you just want to go, golly, how can I help?
The only thing you do is get the drug companies to make their drugs cheaper.
But I know, but that's what you're.
That,
so this cancer that you have is something that you just have to constantly manage.
Yeah, I'm taking every day. I take 2 pills in the morning and the evening. Then once a month, I go to the cancer center in St. Louis, and I do a clinical trial infusion. I also get a couple other shots to inhibit my estrogen. And then every few months, I get another PET scan to see how it's going. My last one was just a few weeks ago. And so I've been doing this for 6 years now. And just when I think I've either hit rock bottom or I've seen it all, something else happens. And then I'm like, no, I just can't even believe this. So my cancer has spread a little bit more. So it's moved into my lung, my left lung, and more of my left rib. It's been like, it's like Swiss cheese going through there. And so, but there have been a few spots in my liver that have gotten smaller. So I'm going to be doing some immunotherapy, which is super easy. It's just that it's twice a week in St. Louis. So that's going to be a drive.
Oh, wow.
Not looking forward to. But a few weeks ago, the PET scan was, it was awful because I had to go to the bathroom. In the middle of the PET scan, I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom. They're like, we can't stop it. And I'm like, no, I really have to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, and it's not number 1. And he's like, I can't help you. And so he's like, you can't clench. You can't tighten up. You'll mess up everything. So like, I had to lay in it for 20 minutes. And then it was the most demoralizing thing. I was crying afterwards. I felt like everybody was talking about me. I was so humiliated. But then the guy's like, it happens. Some people do that.
No,
And
wait till you're a 67-year-old man. It won't be nothing.
Yeah.
That'll be nothing.
Wait till they take your rectum out. Then,
oh,
Yeah.
there you go. That would be worse. Yeah.
well,
So
that's-
I'm not humiliated by it anymore because now I'm like,
But
okay.
I don't know. Do you know that you and Mark have something in common?
No.
He's a cancer survivor.
What? Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
he had his rectum removed. He literally had.
6 months ago, I had, I've had my rectum removed. I lived with the ileostomy for a little while, and then I decided to go back and see if I could manage that process. I'm going back in on July 18th. I'm going to have another colonoscopy bag or colostomy bag put in, just because I don't want to live like this. Without a rectum, there's no stopgap. And you talk about times. I mean, my life is not my own. I'm afraid to eat. If I go out to a party or something, I'm afraid to have anything to eat or anything like that. I just don't know what happened. I've left many parties early or had to leave them early or, and I could tell you about an episode I had at the vet with our dogs. Oh my gosh, that was embarrassing. I had to say, that wasn't the dogs. That was me. Sorry.
See, oh my gosh, you understand way more than I could. Yeah. So the medicine that I'm on, Verzenio, its number one thing is loose stools. So I would rather be sick to my stomach. You can stop anywhere and do that.
I don't know. I think I might call you out on that one. I don't know.
Really? I figure you can pull over.
No, but if you can control it, Sam, that's one thing. But if you can't control it, then yeah.
Well, I mean, that's true.
It's just like people saying, "Really, Mark? You get a colostomy bag?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I can control that.
Yeah,
I've got it right here, and I can control it. I can prepare if I get up and speak, or which I do, speak in front of lots of people, and I just can't."
I know. I mean, until you get to that point where you have to experience something that sounds so awful, once you get there, you're like, well, it could be worse. So, I mean, there's always something worse. So you have to just constantly remind yourself.
So anyway.
There's just no modesty in getting older either.
No, there isn't.
No. And you know what? That's interesting too, when you get to be me and Sam's age, it's interesting.
Not what he was going to say.
Well, you get into conversations, and we can talk about this without people throwing up. I mean, because everybody knows someone or been down that road or whatever. It's interesting. Our conversations have changed. It's no longer about the kids. It's about, threw my back out.
But I kind of hate that. My friends were sitting at, we just happened last week. We were out with my friends, and we're all the same age, and it's like I said, I'll give you guys 10 more minutes to talk about all the in your pants and the aches and the pains and the pills we're fucking taking. And as soon as that's over, let's talk about some other stuff, okay?
Yeah.
That's how we do. We get together and talk about our doctors. We're to the age where I got a doctor for every organ in my body. And everybody wants to compare notes about their kidney doctor. The butt doctor,
Well, Sam already said he's already put a down payment on a hip. He's just gonna go ahead and pay for it over time, and then by the time
it's a layaway plan. Layaway plan.
Literally a layaway plan for a hip.
It's a good idea.
So
how did you get hooked up with the book and the authors of the book?
So one of the authors, she had written a book several years ago, and I read it, called Soul Selfie. And she's local, and I really was like, wow, this is amazing. She came here and she signed some books, and we started talking, and she said, I want to do some collaboration books in the future. I think you'd be great. And she reached out to me a few times, and I was like, I don't know. I'm not really a writer. I love to write and express myself, and I'm a creative person. I just don't have time to sit down and write. And she talked me into it. She begged me, and I'm like, okay. I said yes. And but as per my usual characteristics, I wait till the last minute, like, the night before or something. So she gave me a fake deadline. Good thing. So I'd be ready. It was harder than I thought it would be. It wasn't hard to write. It was harder to pare it down because, you know, you feel like you have all these minute details that you think are important, but then, you know, it's not important to everybody. You can't give everybody all this information. It's just too much. You have to.
Now, did she, when you do a collaborative book like this, is that something where they give you parameters? It conceits
Yes.
it can only be
so many words and
1,000 words, and you know, so it was up to you to edit it, or does she edit, or how does that work?
I did a couple versions of it, and then they came back and just a few basic edits, not too much.
Got it. Yeah. Cat spelled with a C versus a K. I got it. Yeah.
Well, Hemingway famously said the first draft of anything is shit. You know, writing is rewriting. So that's
Right? How many times have you written something and gone back and read it again and found something, then read it again and found something, and read it again and found something?
I'm terrible at that. I've always anything I write and I want to try to publish, somebody else better read it.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, to find actual mistakes, though.
That's what I mean. They better proof it. I have to have somebody always has to proof my stuff and edit my stuff.
Or even if my frame of mind is different, like 3 months later, I'll go back and reread something and I'll be in a either better frame of mind or a different frame of mind. I'm like, you know, something that seemed more important back then is less important, you know, taking things out. And
well, I think, you know, that's why I keep a journal. I think those, you know, over years, you start realizing like, no, I was fooled once 6 months ago when I wrote and thought this was the end of the world, and it's not. So it's happening again. Obviously, I'll look back another 6 months from now and it won't be true. So, yeah.
Well, you know, it's interesting. There's things I wish I'd asked my dad and my mom about a lot of things, a lot of little things. And so I try, especially when mortality is a part of your thing. I mean, I don't dwell on it. That's for sure. That's one of the blue zones, 9 zones. You know, you don't dwell on mortality or anything like that. But I do find all my life, actually, I've told my kids about, you know, quotes from my dad or things that I did when, you know, or just so they have some sort of history of at least my part of it. And I'm wondering, Susan, do you journal?
I used to journal a lot, and then I was always worried about my soon-to-be ex-spouse looking at it. So I got into this point where I was so nervous to write everything down because I didn't want it to be used against me. Right. So I've gotten better about now that I live alone.
And just say, what journal? I mean, that wouldn't stop me. I would just have it hidden over to a friend's house, send it to Sammy, have it on, you know. But yeah. The other thing is, do you find yourself, do your kids talk to you more about things, about your youth, about, you know, growing up? And now, is your other son nearby?
He is not. He's in the military. He's 32, and he's been in the Army for 10, 12 years. He's in Colorado now. He's
Air Force then, or
no, Army Aviation. Same. I mean, very similar. Chinooks and Apache helicopters.
You sound like a guy that's going to retire.
I know. I told him he should just stay in. I mean, at this point.
Oh yeah, they got
you get in
if you get that far.
They're the best. It's the best. You retire at 40, and you got life ahead of you to do another career or something, or whatever you want to do. You know. If he can fly those helicopters, he could be a helicopter.
Anything, I know.
You know, geez.
Hey, now, Mark, I got to warn you, we're down to 8 minutes. I have to
the time. Okay.
8 minutes.
So he's in Colorado Springs?
Yes, but I'm still very close. I'm my boys, I mean, I can't even imagine what it would be like to have girls. I'm so close with both my children. The only time I didn't get to talk a lot with my oldest, he was in Korea for a couple years, so I didn't get to talk as much. But I raised him to be very similar to me, not on purpose. It's just we have very similar characteristics, and we're both Scorpios, and we love you know, the same kind of things. And then
Is that November? Scorpio November?
yes,
Okay.
I'm definitely a Scorpio. There's no
Okay.
way.
Yeah, I'm May. I'm Taurus. What are you, Sam?
I'm a Cyclops.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's, I don't remember. I think it's Cyclops or, I don't remember. So what, so is there any story behind that artwork behind you?
Oh, actually, this is an
Do a
artist.
Zoom and somebody has something behind them. There's a reason we're supposed to see it. So,
Well, I like this room because it has good light and I can also see my vineyard. My vineyard's this way and I can see it. The front of this house is just a wall of floor to ceiling doors, like just
oh wow.
slats. So I can look outside and it has great light and I can see the vineyard. So
is it smoky there today?
It is. We have not been smoky until the past 2 days, but it is smoky.
It's terrible.
What about the grapes? How's that with the grapes?
So far, I mean, it's not enough to even have smoke taint. It's just a haze in the thing. So I don't have to worry about smoke taint. This year has been perfect grape growing. I have good year this year, and you guys are having the terrible year. My winter was practically non-existent. It's a drought going on, which is bad for corn, but it's beautiful. My grapes are so happy, and the disease is low.
Our grapes are growing great. It's looking good. But 2 years ago, and it was shortly after we moved here, the fires, but a lot of people lost a lot of grapes.
Smoke taint, yeah.
Smoke taint, you know.
My yard looks like hell. It's not even July yet. It's brown.
The drought, yeah. Yeah, that 100
No,
years.
this is an artist who's done some of my labels, and then most of my artwork, and I don't know if you can see that, those are boobs. So I have there's boob photos.
Usually I pick those out really quick, but
I guess I'm not.
That's not a problem for me, but
it's probably hard to see. There's a lot of artwork all over the place about boobs. You know, it's funny because now I look and I'm like, oh, I've been collecting photos and prints and paintings with breasts, not realizing eventually I'd get breast cancer and be fixated on
that is interesting. I've got some friends of mine who's dealt with breast cancer. They're going to love this podcast.
Well, the other thing, go back because we kind of glossed over it, but they named one of the bras after you, the Susan bra.
Yes, after I walked in the show, I started forming a really nice relationship with the owner and designer of the company, Dana Donofree, and the bra company is called Anna Ono. And she came here for SIU Plastics, and we did a fashion show here in Illinois with some of the reconstruction models. We were trying to raise awareness about reconstruction because a lot of women don't know that, let's say they didn't have reconstruction right away and they went flat, but then 3 years down the road, they want breasts, or, you know, they had it done, but it didn't turn out well, which is what happened with mine. And then they have to go back for several more revisions. And the insurance company has to pay for that. And I had no idea. So I wanted I wanted other women to know that, because I figured if I didn't know it, and I'm always out looking for that kind of thing, that it might be something, you know, to get to know. And honestly, I know it seems probably very trivial to worry about, but because I was still dealing with cancer, I didn't feel like myself anymore. So I wanted to have at least part of me, like you said, be in control of something. The first couple months, because my reconstruction didn't work well, I had these little prosthetics in my bra. And so if I was bending down to like get some wine out of the refrigerator and pour it, like one would shift or fall. And then I'd be trying to like hold it in place so the person wouldn't notice, you know, kind of like when teenage girls would like stick socks or underwear in their bra. It's like the same thing. It's like it's moving and you're like awkward.
I used to work with this lady that had breast cancer and had a breast removed, and she was and this was years ago, but she was in a bar one night. We were there, and that same kind of thing happened, and she said, "Oh, there, God damn it," and just stood on the bar.
Well, see, that's wonderful that she can make a joke about it.
You know, it's kind of like everybody saw it happen, and she's like, "I'm tired of it." Boom, there it is.
She took the stigma away. I love that. She made it not be something an issue.
She was an interesting person. She lost her daughter to cancer.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Developed cancer twice. She beat it, but yeah, she was an interesting lady. I wasn't sure she was me, but
Now the other thing is, and Sam, you've got to see some of her wine labels. I mean,
I'm looking at them.
They're all by women artists.
Yeah, you got a nice website.
Oh, thank you.
But the stilettos. Explain the story behind the stilettos, because that is a signature.
We're down to 2 minutes. Do we have time?
Oh, do we have time for that?
Of course. My nickname is Stilettos in the Vineyard. I wear heels all the time. I have heeled boots. I have on beautiful heels right now. I'm always in heels. I don't know how to walk in flat shoes. It's just not a thing for me. So I decided to embrace my femininity and stand out that way. So yeah.
Look up Passionista. A friend of mine's daughter who went to Cal Poly created a shoe called, she created a company called Passionista.
Ooh, I'm going to have to look that up.
And that is, these are stiletto and high heeled shoes where the heel can be twisted off. Like if you're at the office, it can be taken off and you can have flats. While you're walking around at the office or at your desk. And then if you're going out that night, you just put the heel back on when you leave the office and boom, you're back into your stilettos. So,
well, I'm going to check that out.
Okay. One last question. Sam, do you have time for one last question?
Very quick.
What do you
I don't want this thing to go blank.
Yeah. What do you want what do you want people to take away from the book, from what you've said? What is it that
there's always a silver lining, and you have to look at hope for anything in your life. You have to find something to have hope for, because otherwise it's just going to drag you down. And even though cancer is horrible, you still have to find things that give you hope, so you'll want to get up the next morning. That's the most important thing in life.
Susan, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see you. I don't live that far from.
You can see it, and then I want you to send me
Springfield all the time.
Sam, I want you to send me a picture of you guys. And Susan, we will send you a link, and you can share the link to all of your people. Sam will be sending us a link of this podcast. And but what a great pleasure seeing you.
This was a good one. This was a good one.
It was fun.
All right.
Bye.
Ciao.
See ya. Oh, say hello to my brother if you happen to see him.
Yeah. Got it.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Love you guys. Bye.
Good. 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 Enough. As good enough.